welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I am Kay Murray, joined in the studio by Stevie Nicol and Alejandro Moreno, and we are going to start by talking about the transfer window closing and the Premier League setting a record, spending £1.9 billion, shattering what was the most spent in a summer transfer window back in 2017. They've spent more than La Liga, Serie A and the Bundesliga combined. The biggest spenders were Chelsea, followed by Manchester United, and Nottingham Forest signed more players in a single summer than any other British club ever, with 21. Let's welcome in Julien Laurent to talk more about this. Jules, is this good for the sport?
I don't know if it is or not, but we knew that English clubs were getting richer and wealthier and by definition stronger as well, and I think they showed their strength and their power again this summer by outspending everyone, overspending, sometimes paying way over the odds for some players, the ones that they really wanted, some others that they didn't really want, but still had to overspend on them to get some reinforcement. I think the top six, certainly, this is the greatest transfer window we've ever seen for the top six. If you look at every club, maybe Liverpool a little bit below the other five, but from the two Manchester clubs to the three London ones in Chelsea, Arsenal and Spurs, everybody strengthened where they wanted, mostly with the players they wanted, spending a lot of money and getting an amazing transfer window, really. So it's been incredible. It shows again why the Premier League will stay for many, many years to come, the best league in the world, because they've got so much more money than everybody else that they are able to have summers like the one we've just witnessed.
Is that a worry, Ali? Because we hear all this backlash against the Super League, but with these figures, are we seeing something that can be comparable to what would be a Super League?
Well, people were enraged about the Super League, and some are very touchy about it still, and the possibilities of the big teams getting together and having their own competition. Well, it may not be just the big teams getting together having their own competition, but in some ways you can make the argument that the Premier League is becoming their own Super League. There is no comparison in terms of what other teams can spend around the world compared to what the Premier League is able to spend. Now, that's not their fault, right? They've done their business correctly. They've done their marketing strategy correctly. Their TV deals are very powerful for teams and eventually for players as well. So they are now in a position in which they walk into any negotiating room with most of the power. Even against teams like Barcelona, like Real Madrid, when you consider what is it that would be an attraction for a player in going to Barcelona and Real Madrid, it's more about the history rather than financially what these clubs can do for the player. They can no longer match what a team at the very top of the Premier League can put on the table. And that's just focusing on the teams and the top six, top seven that Jules was just mentioning. We just showed a graphic with Forest getting 21 players. That's Nottingham Forest, newly promoted, and yet they still have the spending power that other teams in other leagues have nowhere near that number. Again, it puts the Premier League in a very powerful position, but let's not forget, just for context, at one point, Serie A was in this powerful position. At one point, La Liga was in this powerful position. So it would be in the best interest for the Premier League to make sure that their plan makes sense long term and that they don't get too rich, too soon, too fast, too strong, too powerful, and take it for granted. Because just the same way that it came up, it can also go down.
Does it concern you, Stevie, when you see these figures and what these clubs are spending?
The one thing that would concern me would be teams that are spending a lot of money that actually don't have the money. That's the concern. It's not the amount. If you have the money, then I'm fine with you going and spending it. But you kind of wonder where Nottingham Forest are getting all this money, and are they putting the future in any sort of jeopardy by spending all the money they are on all these players? That's the worry. You know, the fact that the Premier League brings in billions anyway, I'm fine if they spend the billions that they bring in. It's just if you're spending it and you don't have it, then further down the road, well, I mean, look at Barcelona. Look at the mess they got themselves in. We don't want that again.
What seems an issue, look, if Manchester City goes and spend money, if Manchester United spends money, if these big name teams in the Premier League go and spend money, you figure, well, they have it. They got it, so they are powerful enough to then go and put that money on the table. But you're finding West Ham going and getting Lucas Paquetá. So now it's no longer just the big name, huge name brands in the Premier League. Now it's other teams that have the ability and the resources to go into other leagues around the world and go and get the top talent because they can pay for it, whereas other leagues in the world simply don't have it. Now, is it fair? Is it unfair? Well, the Premier League doesn't care. They're going to continue to thrive in this environment. As for the landscape of the sport across Europe and across the world, well, certainly it's tilted towards the Premier League, and it's going to make everybody else trying to figure out how is it that they remain competitive at the European level, and how do they remain competitive as a brand as compared to the Premier League?
Yeah, well, that's a great point you bring up, because obviously when it comes to financial fair play rules, we've seen clubs punished, 8 clubs punished and fined because of financial fair play restrictions, PSG headlining them. But Jules, is this the only way these clubs are going to keep up? Yeah, and by the way, no Premier League clubs are.
Hold on a second. Can I ask a question here? Tell me, please, this is what you just showed us there is what the clubs have been fined. Is that correct?
Yes.
We've just been sitting here talking about how the Premier League has spent over $2 billion, right?
1.9 billion.
And you've got clubs getting fined 600,000.
Well,
I mean, seriously, for breaking financial fair play, what's the point? You go and spend 100 million on a player.
So
I'll tell you what, we're going to fine you 600 grand. I mean, it's pocket change,
right?
Yeah.
But the point gets to, though, they are going to be punished, whatever the price is. But is breaking their financial fair play rules and laws what is the only way to help them keep up with these Premier League sides, Jules?
Well, it's not a way, because it's not allowed. So you're not allowed to do whatever you want with your money. I mean, I see Stevie's points. Like you said, Kay, a lot of the sanctions have been suspended. So PSG is a 65 million euro fine, but 55 of those 65 millions are suspended for now to see if they get the books right and they can balance their books. And if they can, they will only pay the 10 million. If they can't do it, then they will have to pay the full 65, which again, when fighting against financial fair play, will not help them. But the fact is that you can't overspend, because if you overspend, you're going to get caught. And we know there's a new FFP coming in action in 2024 that is a bit more complicated, that works a little bit differently than the old one that we knew from before, that maybe didn't really work in the way that some would have hoped that it was working, but it's still there somehow. But the thing is, I think Stevie was saying it, for English clubs, they've got the money, so they're doing nothing wrong. They've got the money, they spend it. The fact is they have just more money than everybody else, so they can spend more money because they have more coming in. So their books is not for all of those teams balanced, and some are taking risks like Nottingham Forest, but at least they've got so much money coming in that it's easier if you want to balance the books, compared to if PSG want to spend 300 million euros in one summer, then they need a lot of income coming in if they want to balance their books. So that's very different. But financial fair play, I think today was a reminder that, hey guys, maybe you forgot about us, but we're still here. Okay, maybe we're not as powerful as we wish we could be, but we're still here. So make sure that you keep up with us.
Well, given that the transfer window has just closed, we'd like to talk about one of the more surprising deals on the final day. It is Artur going to Liverpool. And before we move on to talk about this, Jules, one of the surprising things I hear is that you'd like to say something to Stevie.
It's just that on Wednesday night, I said to him, I said on the show, like, Liverpool are looking for a midfielder, but it would be a body. And as much as we love each other, he dismissed me, saying, no, they need someone that will make a difference, which I would have loved Liverpool to sign. The fact was they had no money, so it could only be a loan. And a loan with 24 hours to go, you're not going to get Jude Bellingham. Let's be honest here. So you get Arthur. And Arthur is Arthur. And
so what's the point?
I didn't want Stevie to dismiss me. But yeah, exactly, man. I told you it was just a body they wanted, nothing else.
I'm very sure you felt dismissed, but certainly, I mean, Dad just asked me, do I want a body? And I
was
said
right.
no. I mean, Listen, at the end of the day, you need numbers for training, right? So that's what Arthur is.
There's injuries though as well, Stevie. So maybe it is a body. On the final day, you realise that it's a necessity, and so you have to bring this player in.
Well, I tell you what, Arthur has to be the last person standing for him to put a red shirt on. Let's be honest.
Well,
what's Arthur going to give Liverpool? Absolutely zero. What does Arthur do that suits the way Liverpool play at their best?
Well,
There's nothing about Arthur that suits Liverpool. And I beg you, Jules, let me say, you were correct. Jules was right. They brought in a body. Tell you what, though, they better check. I hope they checked if the heart was beating, because it's a body. This guy's not going to give them anything.
Let me see if Ali's going to make you feel any better, because obviously you got to see a lot of him at Barcelona, Ali. Where does he fit into this Liverpool side?
Or did he watch the reserves? Were you watching Barcelona reserves?
He fits in with the warm bodies. That's about it. He doesn't. When I saw that this was coming through the news cycle, I'm like, wait. Artur Melo? We're talking about Artur Melo? And it's just not the profile of player or characteristics of a player that matches in any way what Liverpool do. Artur Melo is a guy who likes to keep possession of the ball, mostly side to side. Never or seldom does he go vertical. Liverpool, at their best, are a vertical team that play at speed, high pace, high intensity. None of those things match what Artur Melo has been over the course of his career. He is a guy that gets the ball and moves the ball, usually sideways. He's not a tackler, he's not a ball winner, he is more of a possession guy, a ball connector, but not a connector who's taking chances going forward, a connector who just keeps possession of the ball. Again, usually this way and that way, not that way. It doesn't match the personality of Liverpool, and it certainly doesn't match the personality of Jurgen Klopp. This is not a match at all.
So what is it, Jules? Is it a stopgap? You mentioned Jude Bellingham. Are they just waiting until they can get him in next season?
Yeah, I think we explained on the show before that basically the budget went on Darwin Núñez, which we're not here to say it was the right thing to do or not the right thing to do. They really wanted to sign him. Julian Ward, who's the new sporting director, I think wanted to make a statement. This was his first deal. At some point, it looked like it might not happen. And I think Julian Ward, who had worked with Benfica before, went in and was very happy to make that deal happen, even if it cost them 80 million pounds, which again was all the budget, which meant that there was not much left really. You could do a little, Fabio Carvalho, you could do a little Calvin Ramsey, but if you wanted another big signing in midfield, you could not do it. Or you could do it, but that meant less money next summer for the next big target, which will be Jude Bellingham for sure. I don't know if he will choose Liverpool, but they're getting ready for him to try to sign him. So I think Klopp was like, okay, I don't want to jeopardize the Bellingham project, if you want, and I want to keep that money for next summer. So who can we get now? Well, it's Arthur for you then. I mean, it reminds me just quickly of that Ben Davies. You know the centre back they signed with Kabak 2 years ago now almost, who warmed up a lot but never played. For me, it's similar. You get a body, you get another number for training, like Stevie said. And maybe he can come on for 10, 15 minutes there and there when you want to keep the ball and keep a result. But apart from that, I don't see it. I don't understand it at all.
Okay, let's not talk about a guy that we're not expecting to play much then.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's talk.
One last point about Arthur. Just one last point about Arthur. In Barcelona, where they love some possession, and I mean they love some possession, Artur Melo was criticized for possession of the ball. That's how much he plays the ball sideways and back. Criticized in Barcelona for keeping the ball, the place in which they love possession more so than ever anywhere else.
Okay, no criticism that I'm expecting when I bring up the next name, which we've already heard mentioned, Fabio Carvalho, 98th minute winner for Liverpool. You've got to be happy with that, Stevie, from what you saw from him. He really did stand out.
Well, I think the encouraging thing is that he's young. He's just come to the club, and not only in this game, but the previous one as well when he came on, he's lively. You know, Klopp was talking about one of the things he loves about Diaz is that he's brave, he's not afraid. It doesn't matter whether there's 100,000 people there or 100 people there. He wants to play the game, he loves football and he wants to get after it. And that's exactly what we've seen from Carvalho and his two little cameo appearances. So, absolutely, to come on and score a goal like that, a winning goal, to kickstart Liverpool's Premier League campaign, yeah, huge. And as I said, if you've got any doubts about this guy, don't. Because if Liverpool have a problem again, you know who's coming on.
Big game coming up in the Premier League this weekend is Manchester United taking on Arsenal. That takes place on Sunday. It's tight when it comes to the odds. There's a slight favouritism towards Manchester United, which I know I'm going to go back to Stevie Nicol on that very point. Now, Ale, it wasn't always pretty this summer, Manchester United's transfer business.
Right.
But in the end, it's not looking that bad at all, is it?
No, we took the scenic route for Manchester United. We went in all sorts of different directions, but seemingly what you have now is a concept of a team that still has questions to answer, but looks as if it's in the right trajectory. Now, if you're Stevie Nicol and you're looking at this matchup, you're thinking, do I care more about my bet with Dan Thomas or my hatred of Manchester United? Or dislike, I shouldn't say hatred, that's too strong of a word. My dislike of Manchester United. That is really where this comes down. Because Manchester United is trending, and certainly Arsenal is trending. It should make, here I say, for an entertaining match. And when it's not my money and it's Stevie's money, it makes it even more entertaining for all of us.
Okay, so hold that thought again, because I just want to go to Jules, or the Arsenal angle on this one. Perfect to start the season, Jules. Are there any concerns for the Arsenal side going into this game for you?
Well, apart from injuries, I think, this is the kind of game where you would want to be with your strongest 11 and Thomas Partey and those kind of players. Zinchenko are full strength. Everybody is ready to go, because this is your first big test, really. Yeah, of course, you can say the opening game away at Palace, where you were beaten 3-0 only a couple of months before that, was a bit of a test, but that went well, and then the first 5 games went well because you won them all. This is your big test. This is where, against a team, like Ali said, that is finally a team that shows a lot of character, that defends really well and with a lot of bodies behind the ball. This is a proper test. Even at home, we saw that against Liverpool. This is a big test for you. So you'll have to go there, and you wish ideally to go there with your full strength, with your full team. But I don't think it's okay. They can deal with being without Partey and Zinchenko if they're not back. And go again. They've got a lot of confidence. They've got Gabriel Jesus. They've got Martinelli, Saka. Everybody is confident with great momentum. They will have to be smart tactically, and especially when they lose the ball, because as we saw at Leicester, the only good thing that Man United had in that game was that goal after recovering the ball and going forward vertically very quickly. So they will have to be careful, but they certainly believe now that they can go there and win for sure. But I think United and Ten Hag also believe that they can have 4 wins in a row and beat Arsenal at Old Trafford.
So, bets aside and hatred aside, are you surprised that Manchester United are slight favourites in this fixture?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't see how you can, other than the fact that it's at Old Trafford, why are Manchester United favourites to beat an Arsenal side that have looked good defensively?
But that's a big factor. That's a big factor, playing at home.
But the problem is it. Let's be honest. Manchester United,
playing at home, momentum.
Other than the Liverpool game, Manchester United have been scared stiff to play at home. Let's be honest. When was the last time teams went to Old Trafford and were going, oh no, we're going to Old Trafford today?
Right, but
that's a long time ago. And let me tell you, they haven't exactly. Look at the type of football that Arsenal have been playing. You talk about passing the ball, the movement. Have Manchester United won some games? Yes. Have we been sitting talking about how the movement and the passing and the individual performances of United over the last 3 games, how brilliant it's been? No, we haven't. We've been talking about how did they beat Liverpool? And then, well, they weren't that great against Southampton, but they won. And then they've beaten Leicester City, who, I mean, it would be tight between them and Bournemouth for who's the worst team in the league right now. And they got a win, yes. But there's been nothing to be shouting out loud about Manchester United.
Three wins on the
there is something there. Okay, well, you just said that.
But there's
all of the
something
things
there.
that you just said is something.
There's something.
Okay.
Right.
So it's not nothing.
That tells you where Man United were. Where Ali's saying, well, there's something, and all of a sudden, something makes them favourites over a team
Well, no
that
one
have pretty much outplayed everybody that's been in front of them.
But
Really?
Okay, so with that in mind, maybe this is another game that they're going to come through and you're going to be wondering, how did they do it?
Maybe. Listen, if you want to ask us questions about gut feelings and, my tea leaves this morning said Man United are going to win 3-0. But when we look at these two sides and look at how they've played and look at the makeup of them, we have to come to a conclusion. And my conclusion is, where did the Liverpool result come from? They were average against Southampton and they weren't that much better against Leicester. And they're playing against the side who so far, particularly me, I can't believe it's the same team. Open attacking football, goals, solid defensively. How can they not be favourites against a team that I've just told you the last 3 games what they've been?
Does that sound, because it kind of sounded to me that, was that a compliment, supportive comment to Arsenal? Positive energy towards Arsenal?
Yes.
Hey!
Absolutely it was.
Hope Dan's watching. I know he will be.
I hope it's a draw.
Oh, okay, so
And there it is.
But I would have Arsenal favourites.
there's the prediction. You don't have to give the result or anything. United win, Arsenal win, draw.
I think it's got draw written all over it.
All right.
I do.
I give a lot more importance to the fact that they're playing at Old Trafford, because seeing Manchester United against Liverpool, part of the reason as to why they were successful was because that energy in the stadium, finally you sense those fans were excited to support their team. I think it's going to be more of that. Manchester United carry on the momentum, they win at home.
Jules, prediction.
I think I agree with Stevie. It'll be a draw. I think Casemiro will start, and that will make a big difference for United. But I don't think they will win against Arsenal.
All right, well, let's talk about Chelsea, because we do know that they spent the most money in this record transfer window. The new owners have given the green light for these big signings. All the pressure is on Thomas Tuchel now. But Jules, we asked you, now that these transfers are in, for your best 11. So can you walk us through it?
Yeah, I think that, there's so many options now. Let's say that everybody is fit and can play, including N'Golo Kante, bless him. I think that the arrival of Fofana and Koulibaly, the back three will remain. So Mendy in goal, and then Fofana, Koulibaly and Thiago Silva, which is a pretty amazing back three, to be honest. Reece James then going back to his favourite right wing back position. Cucurella at left wing back more than Chilwell, because you don't spend 55 million on a player that you're going to bench. So I think Cucurella has to be just ahead of Chilwell. In midfield, Jorginho and Conte, or Kovacic and Conte. The pair that you want. I think Tuchel likes Jorginho, certainly in some games. And then your front three. You would think that Aubameyang, working again with Tuchel, will get the nod to play as a centre forward, maybe with Raheem Sterling and then Mason Mount in behind them too, or then Aubameyang on his own and Sterling and Mount just in behind, which we put it on the graphic. But it's open with Havertz, maybe even a Pulisic, Ziyech too. There are still other things that Tuchel can do, but I think this is a pretty good starting 11.
So we were a little bit cruel in making you guys give your predictions before the transfer window had closed. And everybody wasn't too kind to Chelsea before the transfer window had closed. Now that you see this side, Stevie, do you have them finishing in the top 4?
If that side is all fit, healthy and in good form, then it's a team. Unfortunately, right now, Fofana, number one, isn't ready to be nearly £100 million football player. He's, in my opinion, still learning his trade, and he's getting thrown in, and he's going to have to produce. Otherwise, he's going to be under pressure. If he can push that pressure back and perform, then he'll be fine eventually. If Kante's fit, yeah, great, but he's not. And Aubameyang's going to be out for another 4, 5, 6 weeks with a broken jaw. So I like the team on paper, but it's going to be a while before you see that side. And the question is, between now and when that side actually gets together, are Chelsea going to still be in the title race? Because right now you don't know what you don't know what. Aye, sorry.
Title race.
Yeah.
Top 4 race.
Sorry, they're probably never in the title race. But in a position where you expect them to comfortably be in the top 4, and right now you don't know what you're going to get every time Chelsea step on the field.
Would it change your mind, Ale, that they can make the top 4 with this side?
Well, I had them in the top 4.
I knew someone did. It was you.
ahead of the start of the season. I continue to have them on the top 4, even with their slow start. I think it's important, to Stevie's point, that they hang on for the time being up until they get the best version of their group together out on the field. But I think they have enough players and enough depth within this group to where once they get going, I think there's going to be consistent results for Chelsea. I guess I have more faith than other people, but I believe that Chelsea will be a good team at some point this season.
All right, I have a question for you. It has to come to you, LA. This weekend, Manchester City face Aston Villa.
Yes.
The big question is, how many goals is Erling Haaland going to score?
Well, I'm going to go with a hat trick. That seems to be a popular choice these days. And why not? The service is coming. The opportunities are going to come. And you know that if he gets on the end of a chance, more than likely, he's probably going to put it in the back of the net. So I don't see Aston Villa being able to hold off Manchester City in general. And so therefore, if indeed there are going to be opportunities, they're going to fall to the big guy. And he has not given me any reason not to believe that he's not going to be able to tap balls in. He's done that very well over the last 10 days or so, and really throughout his whole life. So I'm going to take another hat trick for Erling Haaland.
So much so that Stevie actually couldn't believe how many goals he'd already scored this season.
I forgot. Isn't it ridiculous that we're now, after 5 games, certainly I guess I can only speak for myself, I'm in the mindset now of, he's going to score every time he plays. So now it's how many. It's not, is he going to score? That's what I've got in my head. It's not, is he going to score? It's, how many is he going to score? How ridiculous is that?
So how many is he going to score this weekend if he plays?
He's going to score.
Hey.
I'm not going to go a hat trick.
Okay.
He might get 2, but he'll definitely score.
2?
Oh, 1.
Well,
if you push me for an answer, I'll say 1, but he might get 2, but he won't get 3.
2 to 1. All right. The only reason I say as well, if he plays, Jules, is because there has to be a word on how they're going to manage these minutes for this player.
Yeah, and let's not forget that I think it was maybe after the Bournemouth game that Pep said that he won't start him in those weeks with 3 games where you play every 3 days, which part of me understand, and I said, of course, it makes sense. Like De Bruyne was on the bench, wasn't he, against Forest, and came on for the last 25 minutes. He can do that tomorrow, for example, with Haaland. But then when he's in that kind of form, why would you not keep starting him? Even if you take him off after 50 minutes or 55, he would already have scored 5 goals anyway. So I'm not sure what Pep is going to do. He might bench him tomorrow because there's the Champions League next week. He might start him and then sub him off at half-time maybe, or after an hour, or even after 69 minutes like he did against Forest, and that would be enough because the guy is such a freak and a machine that he can play 69 minutes and then be okay. I don't know, but at some point I think they will have to manage his time. He had a few injuries last season with Dortmund, which I think was more down to Dortmund and their fitness coach and fitness work more than him being fragile physically. But you still, in a World Cup year, even if he doesn't go to the World Cup, you still have to be careful.
Okay, so it could be 5, it could be 0, according to what we've just heard there. So you never know with Erling Haaland. It is a risk if you put him in your fantasy team. Anyway, there'll be a lot more talk about Erling Haaland and all the Premier League fixtures on the next edition of ESPN FC. Remember, we are available daily. Be sure to always catch us. And so there we go, another 1-0 win for Borussia Dortmund. Of their 5 games so far in the Bundesliga, 3 of them have finished in that scoreline. On Friday night, they go to bed as leaders in the Bundesliga. We'll see how the match day plays out. Jules is still with us, but I'll start with you, Ale, because we did watch this game together. Okay, second half may not have been Borussia Dortmund's best, but let's focus on that first half. And Jude Bellingham was a player that I know caught your eye and stood out today.
Yeah, because he's a player that gives you a lot through the midfield with his possession, but has enough athleticism to go and support the attack. And you see him being a presence inside the attacking 18-yard box. Now, there are moments in which he gets himself in a lot of good positions. I think his final product could be a little bit better, but you see the potential of a player that continues to grow and continues to mature, and he's going to be critical to the success of Borussia Dortmund, both in Bundesliga and, of course, Champions League.
You can see why he's a wanted property, can't you, Jules?
Oh yeah, I mean today again, I thought it was magnificent in that first half. Like he's been really so far this season, but even last season at times, carrying them, especially when Haaland wasn't there, or try to carry them. I think this is his last season at Dortmund. I think he would become too good for Dortmund, maybe even too good for the Bundesliga, maybe not for Bayern, but certainly for the rest of the league. And I think that he's such an incredible, rare, generational talent that there would be a top club, wherever that is in Spain or in England, that would be very lucky to go and spend 130 or 100 million on him.
All right, let's focus on Group G then in the Champions League, which is where Borussia Dortmund have landed, coming up against Sevilla in this group, obviously City and Copenhagen as well. But we're looking at who is expected to finish behind Manchester City if you were to be a betting person. What separates these two sides, Dortmund and Sevilla, Ale, as someone who watches both of these teams a lot?
Not a lot, because both of these teams have something in common, and that is lack of consistency. And in moments in which you think that they're about to take a step forward, they take a couple of steps back. I can't really trust Borussia Dortmund nor Sevilla, but the only reason I would say that Borussia Dortmund have an inside track on getting that second position out of this group is because Sevilla have actually taken a few steps further back from last season. They've lost a couple of their best players defensively in Diego Carlos and Jules Koundé. And then offensively, this is a team that struggled not only to create opportunities, but put opportunities away. They did that all last season, in which they made wins into draws and draws into losses simply because they were not explosive in the attack. That hasn't improved, and so therefore, when I look at both of these teams, it is more likely that Borussia Dortmund advances second to Manchester City than Sevilla. I see Sevilla struggling all this year in La Liga.
Would you agree with that, Jules?
Yeah, completely. I mean, Sevilla have struggled already so far this season. They've had such a poor start, both with the result, but also with the performances. That Lopetegui is under massive pressure. They obviously play Barcelona this weekend, and they play City in the Champions League on Tuesday, and by then they could have been spanked twice and he could be out. So I think it's difficult for Sevilla, and Dortmund have a really good squad. I think Edin Terzic has a lot of options, and if he can make them work, we saw Bino Gittens coming off injured tonight in the first half, which was a shame because he'd been really good for them, the young Englishman. But he still has so many options, and if he makes it work, especially defensively, if they get a bit more solid and a bit more consistent, like Ali was saying, then I think they could have a really decent season.
There's a lot more Bundesliga action to be feasting your eyes on this weekend, and you can catch every single game on ESPN+. Check out two of the Champions League side from the Bundesliga as Frankfurt take on Leipzig. But so far, Union Berlin have been standout. Well, they face Bayern Munich this weekend. Well, it's fair to say that Barcelona were very busy in the recent transfer window, and then we also had the added drama of will they register, won't they register? Anyway, in the end, there was even deadline day deals. Marcos Alonso and Hector Bellerin coming in. Ale, when all is said and done, how are they looking after this summer's business?
Well, they're looking great. Look, there's no doubt that Barcelona now is a much better version than what they were at the end of last season. That was never the question. The question is it worthwhile mortgaging the future of your club and putting all the chips in and saying, we have to win now instead of financial responsibility for the future? Now, let's put that aside. And I'm just going to focus on the product on the field. And that's the only thing that we can evaluate. This is a team that has elite level talent in every line on the field. Talent that anybody in the world would want to have, they have it available. And there is variety in the attack, and there's variety through the midfield. The one question is, defensively, can they figure it out as to what is the best combination so that Barcelona, who likes it, they usually get exposed when they go on the attack, is there enough athleticism in that back line to match up and cut out transitions against them, counter-attack opportunities against them? If the answer to that is yes, then there's nothing about this Barcelona team that I would not feel comfortable with. If I'm Xavi, I'm looking back, and the most difficult part of my job right now, if I'm Xavi, is figuring out how I move and rotate players in order to manage all this talent that I have available. And that is a problem and a headache that any manager around the world would want to have. He's got plenty of options, and he has plenty of opportunities to have players in good positions to perform and produce for him consistently. That's a great place to be.
Jules, we've been putting you to work for this show. We also got you to put together best 11 for Barcelona with the players that they have available now. Does that side that we just saw for you win anything this season?
I think they're very capable of, of course. I think Xavi's an elite coach. There's no doubt about that. And then it would be down to the players to implement what he wants to do. But we saw Lewandowski hitting the ground running straight away. The two goals he scored against Valladolid, and it was only Valladolid, I know, but we're still top class. And then Dembele and Rafinha getting better, even if obviously one of them has to play on his not favourite side, if you want. And then in midfield, I put Pedri and Gavi alongside Busquets. You can have De Jong there. Of course, as well, you can have Kessie too. So the depth in the squad that Ali just mentioned is so true when you try to put who you think is the best 11, really. And it's same at the back. Right now, I think Koundé, like we saw in the last game, is maybe the favourite right back if you want, but maybe Bellerin can come in and have some game time. And then you play Christensen, Araujo, Eric Garcia, who I don't rate at all, but maybe Xavi likes him, I don't know. And then at left back, clearly there's an issue with Jordi Alba. So Marcos Alonso should become the number one unless the young Balde really improves and that Xavi likes his dynamism and the energy and the pace, and then starts him ahead of Alonso. So it's very interesting what they have there on paper. They've started the league really well. They will be much bigger opponents than what they've played so far, starting with Sevilla this weekend, as we mentioned, but I think it's very promising.
If that Barcelona side came up against Liverpool in the Champions League, would you be worried, Stevie?
Right now, absolutely. You know, it's always great when you look on paper and think you have a picture of what you're going to get. But we all know that on paper and on the grass, it's two different things. And the pressure is now on for all those names and the manager to produce. You know, top four is not good enough anymore. You better be either winning the title or you better be a point off. You also better be getting to at least the semi-final of the Champions League. So this is when we will see. You know, Jules is saying that Xavi's an elite coach. We will find out if he's an elite coach, because I think he's probably had a little bit of a pass between getting there and right now because of all the drama, all the signings, all the getting more money from behind the couch, all of these things. So now the board and Mr. Laporte have gone, there you go, Xavi. Now we've done our bit. We've got you these players. We've got you this team. And this team on paper is as good as any other team around. You've got to produce. That now we'll find out.
So, Ali, how far can this team go in the Champions League?
I think semi-finals is a very realistic run for Barcelona in Champions League. Now, assuming that you're going to get to the semi-finals, that means that by then this group has really come together. And there are no excuses or, hey, we're getting used to what his movement is, what we like to do. No. By then, you are probably getting the best version of what this group is going to be like. So, and not only do I say semifinals just in a vacuum, I say semifinals because, as Stevie just pointed out, if you're going to go all in and you're going to spend all this money, you're banking, literally banking on the financial rewards that you're going to get from making a deep run. Financial rewards that you need. Not that would be nice to have, that you need, because you've already accepted losses from the future. And so if you're Barcelona, you're saying, look, we're putting this team together for one reason and one reason only, and that's to win and win now. Because if it was about patience, all the signings and all the levers that were pulled, none of them would have been pulled. If it was about patience, then they would have built from within. That wasn't the approach. So it's not patient approach anymore. Now it's about winning and winning now. The pressure, as Stevie just said, is very much on Xavi to make the right choices and put the players in good positions to where now they can be successful with consistency.
Well, let me stick with you to talk about the next game. It is against Sevilla. We know Sevilla are in very big need of a win so far. It's been a tough start to the season for Julian Lopetegui's side. Could this be a slip-up for Barcelona?
They already had their slip-up against Rayo Vallecano. I don't think there's a slip here for Barcelona. This game will test Barcelona's intensity and urgency and physicality, because it's the only way that Sevilla can take away from Barcelona in this match, that they're going to get in your face, that it's about Lopetegui and his intensity and everybody's going to be running around the field. If Barcelona are able to move the ball quickly and their possession is quicker in the attacking half, Sevilla has no chance, because Sevilla right now is struggling for confidence. They don't have confidence in the attack. They haven't had confidence defending either. Sevilla is a team that is looking for reasons to fall apart. If Barcelona gives them enough reasons to fall apart, this game may just be done early enough where Lopetegui and pressure would continue.
Yeah, let's talk about another team in La Liga, Atleti, who have Antoine Griezmann, but they are having to manage his minutes very well this season, because if he surpasses 45 minutes in 50% of the games across these two campaigns, the club will have to pay Barca 40 million. We're going to just hear what Diego Simeone had to say about this situation. He says, "You've known me for 10 years. I'm a club man and I always will be." And obviously he's referring to the fact that he is just bringing on Antoine Griezmann to keep him within those minutes so that it doesn't go over the minutes that have been stated. This is a bit of a wild situation, isn't it, Jules?
It's crazy, and I think it's unprecedented. I mean, I remember a few cases of players if they played a certain amount of games, then you had to buy them, and you had to trigger the buyout clause. So they didn't play in the last, 4 or 5 games of the season. But is it really going to happen that he's never going to play more than half an hour there, 45 minutes there, or maybe an hour and then miss the next game? This has never been seen before. This is a crazy situation, and for him, it's a disaster, because it's a World Cup year in a French national team where already his position is under threat, let's be honest, because he's been very average in the last few caps that he had. So short of match fitness, because you can't be super match fit for a World Cup if you play 5 minutes there, 25, 10, 30, 45 if you're lucky. In the league, it doesn't work like this, or in the Champions League. And on top of that, Deschamps is already thinking, should I keep him? Should I not keep him? Should I start it? Should I not start him? I think for Griezmann, this is the worst situation possible.
What are your thoughts on it, Ale?
Well, I know that there is somebody in that front office from Atletico Madrid whose job, sadly, is to keep some sort of Excel spreadsheet and saying, "Oh boy, we're getting close. Diego, hey, Diego, we can't play this guy this weekend. Or you're going to have to limit his minutes. Or we're going to have to pay 40 million euros. Look, it's a difficult situation for Antoine Griezmann to be in. But it's also a difficult situation for Simeone, because now you're having to manage not only what happens on the field, but you're trying to avoid what could potentially happen off the field. And in trying to defend your club, because he's a club man, he's been that for 10 years, I can guarantee you this: Antoine Griezmann is not starting. And if he's starting, he's getting the quick hook every single time. How
should it be handled, Steve? Has it been done right?
This is extraordinary. Listen, throughout the years, what used to happen at clubs was the chairman, who then had a bigger say in the running of the club, there was always players who were on bonuses. And every year it would be the same. Somebody would disappear, they wouldn't play, because if they scored another goal or they played more minutes, then they had to get a bonus. So I've heard of that. I've never heard of this, where who come up with this in the first place, right? I want this in the contract, where if you play half the games over 45, I mean, that is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. On the other hand as well, I think it might help Simeone, because, let's be honest, since Griezmann went back, has he really been, it's Griezmann and 10 others? So I think in some ways this is easy for Simeone, because instead of saying, Antoine, you're not playing today, he can just say, Antoine, I can't give you minutes because of the situation. And then all the pressure's off him.
And he's actually been good off the bench, Ale.
Yeah, this may be the perfect role for him for Atletico Madrid. Now, to Jules' point, this is definitely not the perfect role when you're thinking World Cup preparation, when you're thinking fitness, when you're thinking all sorts of different things and what your role may be with the national team. And how will you feature with the national team when you've been a part-time player, your club team? That's when we're talking about France, right? We're talking about a major team and one of the favorites going into the World Cup. And so, can you afford to have a part-time player as being one of your feature guys in the attack? I don't think so. So, I can see how this would be a role in which Antoine Griezmann could thrive for Atletico Madrid, because then he would come into games in moments where perhaps the game is already stretched, and then he can run. He has space and freedom to do the things that he knows how to do naturally. But in the big picture, it's something that is going to hold him back, because I am sure that this, whatever this situation is going to be held against him when it comes to the French national team.
Well, we are talking about the French national team, Jules. What's the latest on Paul Pogba and Kylian Mbappe and everything that's been going on there?
Well, I was told that the investigation continues, that the police have interviewed Paul Pogba's mum and Mathias Pogba's mum, also Rafaela Pimienta, the lawyer and agent, and also a member of the France national team, the staff, the security guy, if you want, the guy who looks after all the security for the players when they're on international duty. So that continues. We also know that Kylian Mbappe, maybe wisely, I mean, I don't know if it's wise or not, but called both of the Pogba brothers to hear himself their point of view and their version of this story. Obviously, Mathias Pogba saying that Paul Pogba used witchcraft to cast a curse on Kylian Mbappe. Paul Pogba denying it to Kylian Mbappe as well on the phone call that they had the other day. So, I mean, this is, again, we talked about extraordinary story for the Griezmann situation. This is another planet. This is crazy, and we're just waiting. Again, what we've been saying is, when is Mathias Pogba going to reveal and release all the proofs that he has against his brother? This is the next level, not the next chapter, and until he does that, we won't really have much to add. We're just waiting now to see what really he can bring and can put against his own brother.
And what are the thoughts, Jules, on how it's affecting the French national team?
It's not right now, really, because, again, Mathias Pogba can say anything he wants. If he can't prove it, then it's not going to go anywhere. And certainly Paul Pogba keeps saying to everybody who wants to listen to him that he never did that. He used witchcraft for himself to protect him from his own injuries, which, by the way, he wasted his money. We know that for now. But he said that he never used it against anyone else and not Kylian Mbappe. So Deschamps is monitoring the situation. That's how it was put to me. Kylian Mbappe and his family are monitoring the situation as well and see what comes out from the Mathias Pogba camp. But for now, it doesn't really, of course, you would rather not to deal with this and not to be concerned by it. But right now, it's nothing. However, if Mathias Pogba produces a video or an audio recording of Paul Pogba saying, I want to curse against Kylian Mbappe, then he explodes completely, and then we can talk about how much of a negative impact that will have on the national team.
There'll be more talk about this topic, as always, on the Gab and Jules podcast, and a lot more of the biggest topics from world football. Be sure to download that wherever you do get your podcasts. And thank you so much for being with us. Extra time will follow. Jules will be back to answer some of your questions. There's a weird question for me as well at the end of this one. Yeah,
weird answer.
You'll find out what it is. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Kay, Ale, Stevie and Jules here answering your questions today. Stevie's been having a bit of a sing-song, as per usual.
I'm trying to remember the name of the film.
All right.
I put a spell on you.
Yep.
Cause you're mine.
Aye, what's the film?
Excuse me.
I know not.
Bette Midler.
Enough singing. We're going to have to pay royalties if you guys keep going.
Aye, all right.
Correct.
It's not in the budget. It's not in the budget.
Well, it doesn't feel like there was any budget for the Manchester United this summer. And they are one of the subjects of our first questions. Which is more likely, Manchester United finishing in the top 4 or Liverpool winning the league? Stevie?
Well. Have I got to answer that?
Yes.
No, Manchester United.
I'm sorry, what?
I said Manchester United.
Jules can't hear you.
Manchester United in the top 4, Jules. Okay.
Oh, hey, that hurt quite a
In
bit.
case you didn't
That was
hear,
not
Manchester
easy.
United finishing in the top 4 was Stevie's answer.
That was not easy.
Ale, how many
Liverpool legend.
Liverpool legends, Stevie?
Horrible.
Ale, how many goals does Isak score for Newcastle this season? He was very impressive in his debut.
He was. I'm going to say a successful season for Alexander Isak, given his track record at Real Sociedad, would be 12 goals.
12?
12 goals for Newcastle, I think, would be a success for Alexander Isak.
Over or under, Jules, 12 goals for Alexander Isak with Newcastle this season?
No, I think Ali's right. 12 would be a good season. I think he can go up to 15. I mean, he can go up to more. Of course, he can also have less. We know that he's not the most prolific, or certainly has not been in the last 18 months. He's had some tough moments, but he took that goal so well against Liverpool. My favourite one was the one that was disallowed, the second one, where really that one was impressive, I thought. But with him, you just don't know. But I hope he does well, and I think 15 would be fantastic for him. If he can score 15 in the league, that would be fantastic, and that would also mean, I think, that Newcastle finish, for example, top 8, which I think they're very capable of doing.
I feel that you guys are all giving him like a higher estimation now, higher expectations on him after that start that he had, because last week it was 10 goals that would have been seen as a success across the panel, I
Well,
think.
the way he took them, I mean, I know one was disallowed for offside, but the way he took them wasn't of a guy who normally doesn't get double figures. I mean, they were phenomenal. So, better not jump, get out the blocks too quick. It's only one game.
Alexander Isak to score 10 goals, which is more likely that, or Liverpool to win the league.
I said 12 just now, by the way.
Okay, we'll give it the 12.
Yeah.
You said 12, somebody said 10.
Do you know when Dan wasn't in the day, I thought I was getting a day off of smarty pants. You've just jumped into his smarty pants.
Oh, those are very short pants.
Honestly, I thought I was getting a day off.
They're more like cut-off shorts.
Aye.
Yeah, I remember I used to live with Dan. I used to see all his washing along the radiators and everything. No thanks.
Hocus Pocus is the movie, by the way.
Hocus pocus.
There you go.
Aye.
So go on. Don't try and avoid
I'm not
the
answering
answer.
that question. It's not an official question.
All right.
Oh,
For you. It
Just
wasn't-
I'm not
it wasn't-
official.
It wasn't-
Are you saying I'm not the official host because I'm just in Dan's thing?
Wow.
Well, as far as I know, it's supposed to be viewers' questions, right?
I do watch
So
every
are you
night
a
when I'm
viewer?
not on.
Not this particular moment, so.
You didn't put a hashtag FC extra
Correct.
time after.
Aye. Next time, send one in.
I'll send one in
There you
from my
go.
burner account, CV. All right, for the panel, does Nottingham Forest signing 20 players in one window, 21, guarantee that they will not be relegated from the Premier League? What are your thoughts on that, Jules?
It doesn't guarantee them anything. I mean, not at all. I think you can see both sides of it. I understand the need for them to have depth and also to get better players than what they had, even with the promotion. I get that, and they had a lot of players on loan, so they lost a lot of players as well in the summer who went back to their parent club. So, I get that. But 21? Really, 21 players? There's also a risk of unbalancing completely your dressing room, of making some players unhappy. Competition is always great for places, but this is taking it to an extreme. So I wish them the best. I don't mind if they do well. If they don't do well, I don't care. But 21, I think, is a lot. And you said it at the start of the show. No English clubs has never signed so many players in one transfer window ever. So, good luck to them, and good luck to Steve Cooper, because I think, just to finish, for me, this puts a lot of pressure on him, because if he doesn't do well, where I think he's a really good manager and has done amazing for this club, then the owner, Marinakis, can easily say, hey, hang on a minute, I gave you 21 players, I spent 150 million, and now I expect better than that, you're out. Where I'm not sure Steve Cooper really asked himself for 21 new players.
Ale, what's your expectations on the Brazilian national team in Qatar? How good are they?
They have to be thinking winning the whole thing. And if you're Brazil, just historically, that is the expectation. But this team realistically should have that expectation. Let's just for a second imagine a world in which Neymar continues to play in the manner in which he has played early on with PSG this season. And then imagine a world in which Vinicius plays at the level that he's currently playing at in Real Madrid. And that's just two of your attacking players. You can pick whoever you want on the other side. Anthony, who would be playing with Manchester United. Or you can have Gabriel Jesus if you want to. There are so many options for Brazil in the attacking half. And more importantly, they have balance in the team. They have balance through the midfield. They have balance in the back line. This is a team that, much like Argentina, is built to win the whole thing.
All right. Okay, last question. Ale hates sockless Gab.
Oh, well, that's a strong word. I don't hate it. I just don't think it looks good.
Stevie hates corn in his shepherd's pie.
Well, he does that, yeah, he hates it, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Jules hates Valverde and Pochettino.
Wow.
What does Kay hate?
Well,
Okay, there's a few.
okay, go ahead, please.
File them out.
Pineapple on a pizza. Really hate it.
Is it
With a passion.
Is it a sensory thing? Is it a feeling?
I don't genuinely like sweet and savoury together, so pineapple on a pizza is just one step too far for me. Okay. People blowing their nose at the table while I'm eating.
Okay. All right. That just seems like a seems like an issue that goes on at home that maybe
Maybe. And
Picking your feet with your socks. While you eat your dinner.
oh, picking the nails of anything, that noise, no thanks. It's not a popular one, but I hate the fear clause in football.
The what?
The fear clause, where you can't play against the team if you're on loan from that team. I don't like that rule.
we really took a turn here. We went
I don't like that.
I'm beginning to think this list is pretty long, by the way.
And lastly, I hate upsetting Stevie Nicol.
Oh.
He's my mate and he brings me chocolate in. So I'm sorry for being a smarty pants, Stevie. All right, he's going to let me off. He was only kidding. All right, thank you so much for sending in your tweets. And we'll do it all again tomorrow, so make sure you send those tweets in again
The sound
tomorrow.
of a nail clipper is what bothers you?
Don't mind that.
Okay.
It's when you're clipping your nails if I'm watching TV.
Yeah,
no thanks.
Hey, Mateo, you listening?